Hello everybody and welcome back to another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. This one's a little more subdued than what I would say it was when we recorded last time, or the last time we saw each other, as the United States is coming off of a 5-2 loss to Belgium down in Atlanta. The U.S. did get goals from Weston McKennie, Patrick Agyemang, but Belgium was just a much better team, especially when things switched over to the second half. They were just a much better team. The quality really showed through in that game. And now we're going to sit here and talk about the United States' upcoming match against Portugal, who's coming off a 0-0 draw against Mexico. But before we get into any of that, let's go over the housekeeping items first. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below, all the different social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure to go and follow the Apple Podcasts and Spotify accounts. Make sure to go to the LoganBlackmanShow.com and check out our latest blog post on there. We got Mock Draft 2.0, which is out for you right now. Mock Draft 3.0 will be out for you within a week or so, maybe 2 weeks from now. I don't really know the exact date on that, given that this last one, the gap between Mock Draft 1.0 and 2.0 was about a month. So I really don't know what the timetable's looking like, especially with Easter coming up and everything. Yeah, make sure to also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you're already enjoying it, but if you're not a trusting individual, I don't blame you. I don't like things before I try them either, so wait till the end, and I will make sure to remind you at the end of the video, and also make sure to leave a comment down below on how you feel about the United States' performance against Belgium, what you feel like they could look like against Portugal, what your expectations are for the World Cup. If you're worried, happy, whatever, let me know down in the comment section below. But yes, the United States, again, is coming off of a 5-2 loss to Belgium. This ends the United States' 5-game lossless streak, which came back in September against South Korea when they lost that game 2-0, which ironically was the last time that the United States played with a back four. Reminder, Pochettino has been playing this back five formation, or back three, depending on how you want to look at it, and the United States has been playing better with it, where a lot of the things that they've struggled with in the past, most notably, like you look at the left back spot with Anthony Robinson being hurt and Max Arston being a subject defender, an optional defender at best, his flaws have been kind of pushed to the side, I guess you could say, when playing a back five. And the United States has good attacking options, and those fullbacks love to push up, and Robinson and Dest and Freeman and Arston and Weah, like, they love to push up the field, and the United States doesn't really have that big quality at center back, so it provides more defensive cover as well. It's just been really a nice system for the United States, and that lack of quality and lack of depth in this game with Chris Richards and Miles Robinson being out really showed, as the United States had to play a back four with Tim Weah at right back, Mark McKenzie at one center back, Tim Ream, 40-year-old Tim Ream at left center back, and then obviously Anthony Robinson, who out of the back four, I would say Anthony Robinson played the best, but he is naturally the best player there. I think Tim Weah for a time period was getting kind of scapegoated because he got the pleasure, I guess you could say, of going up against one of the best 1v1 forwards in the world in Jeremy Doku, and I thought he played well given the circumstance. I think his natural athleticism kept him in front of Doku, but there's only so much you could do. There's only so much you can do, and I know we talked about it in the preview where it's like his end product's not fully there yet, and he's still very raw in that aspect, but his dribbling and the way he goes after you and constantly never stops, it's so wearing on a defender. And I thought Tim Weah, given the circumstance and the fact that he was pretty much on an island the entire time, I thought he performed admirably. And in the United States, there were times where they tried to double team Jeremy Doku, but there were other times that I would say most of the time Tim Weah was just on an island out there. Matt Turner wasn't great, but we know Matt Turner's not great. Tim Ream does not have the legs or the quality at this point in time to play in a back four. Mark McKenzie is just suspect 99% of the time when he plays for the United States. That back four, especially again in the second half where it kind of just waned heavily on them, it just kept feeling more and more shaky and not great, and it's just so frustrating, and nobody closes down. And you look at some of the performances in the midfield in the second half when Christian Roldan and Sebastian Berhalter came on. Like Berhalter, I've talked about how his set pieces are very important to this national team, and Roldan provides a little bit of energy off the bench, but you cannot, in good conscience, against the better teams like Belgium. I know this isn't the Belgium team of years gone by, we're the top-rated national team in the world, but when you have a team like Belgium, even without Romelu Lukaku in there, even without Leandro Trossard in there, or Hazard, and like all these other guys, and Hazard hasn't been in the national team for a while, but I'm just saying, like, Belgium, the best Belgian players. They have an aging Kevin De Bruyne in there. The midfield is getting run through wide ass open, and Berhalter and Roldan don't have the quality to be a midfield pairing in a game like this. And I understand it's a friendly, and you might be wanting to try new things and try things out and see what works for you long term, but they're not good enough to start. They just aren't. And that's not even me being like a Euro snob or whatever the phrase you see thrown around social media. If you watch that game and look at the last 3 goals the United States gave up, or the last 2 goals, the United States gave up in this game. It's all the 3 guys that the people on Twitter and social media and all the different United States fans out there are the most critical of, and that's Max Arfsten, Sebastian Berhalter, and Christian Roldan. The midfield, again, was wide open. Arfsten is not a good defender. Arfsten cannot play in a back 4. I know he's done it from time to time with the Columbus Crew, but we've seen it with the national team over and over again. He is not defensively sound enough to play in a back 4. He's fine going forward. He's a fine attacking option down that left wing spot, or that left fullback, because we know how much those attacking midfield duo of Pulisic, McKennie, Tillman, whoever you want to put in there, Luna, Reyna, they all want to play centrally. They all like to suck in. So having these wingbacks that like to bomb forward, like Arfsten, Dest, Way, and all those guys that we mentioned before, is very good. And the coverage that you have with the back 3 makes it so their defensive qualities, or I guess more so with Arfsten than the other guys, the lack of defensive awareness that he has is kind of snuffed out a little bit. But in a back 4, he has to be a defender, and he's just not that. Like, look at the defending on the Luca Bacchio goal, the first one, where he cuts it on his left. He just gives him his left foot. Like, when you're you're lining up against a player who you know is trying to cut in on their left. Like, this isn't Ian Robin that we're working with, where we know that he's going to cut on his left, or we know that's what he's going to do, or Mohamed Salah, where we know that's what he's going to do. This is Luca Bacchio. And no disrespect to him, he's not on the same level as those guys. And you're just allowing him to work inside. He didn't even really need to put a move on. And Christian Roldan, it was either Christian Roldan or Giovanni Reyna, just follows De Ketelaere into an offside position, just open up that middle of the field. The awareness with everything is just so annoying and frustrating. It's laziness. And the second goal, the second of the 5th goal, but the second of the late goals, it's just lazy. No one's moving around. They're so content in just standing there. Whatever Berhalter was trying to do in regards to the clearance, I don't know what happens there. I know the ball kind of falls awkwardly to him, but in those situations, like, look at the full play. It's just lazy. That's what the Molt thing is, and that's what kind of struggled with the second half performance, is that it was just lazy. It was open. Belgium didn't even really need to do anything. Now, the first 2 goals of the second half obviously got a penalty in there from Charles De Ketelaere. Tim Ream hits his left arm. The ball goes behind him and hits him in the left arm. And then the first one of the second half, where Jeremy Doku gets was it the first one of the second? Whichever one. Thomas Meunier plays a brilliant ball across field to Jeremy Doku, who again takes Tim Weah on 1v1 and then gives a little give and go with De Ketelaere, and I can't remember if that was the penalty or not, but Doku again just bombing down that left flank. And it makes all the sense in the world that they would have him go up against Tim Weah rather than Anthony Robinson, who is a more natural defender than Timothy Weah is. I know Tim Weah has been playing a bunch of games at right back for Marseille at club level. I think like 8 of the last 10 games for Marseille have been at traditional right back instead of wing back like we saw him play for Juventus. But he's still not a natural defender. Reminder, he was a striker when he was at PSG and Celtic. Like, he was a striker, a forward. He's been a right winger for the United States. He's not like a natural goal-scoring winger, but he holds the width. And he's just not the type of defender to have a guy like Doku. So Belgium's like, hey, we're going to put our left-footed winger on Tim Weah and just put him on an island the entire time. And it worked. And in regards to the first half goal, just a beautiful outside-the-box shot from DeBast in that one. And it wasn't Meunier with the pass, it was DeBast, Zeno DeBast with the pass to Jeremy Doku that I was talking about before. But these types of games against these types of opponents are just so disheartening. And then when you have a manager talking about, like, our goal is to make the World Cup semifinal, it's really hard to sit back and go, oh yes, I believe that we can make the World Cup semifinal. Would I love the United States to make the World Cup semifinal? Of course. Do I think it's very likely at this point? Not really, because if you look at the other national teams in the world, you're going to need someone to slip up at this point in time, given the current state of the national team, and go like, there's going to be somebody slipping up here for the United States to make that happen. I know they got like the host plot armor and everything like we saw with Russia, we saw with South Korea. Like, we've had like plot armor before, host plot armor before, but there's a lot of really good national teams out there right now. France, England, Spain, Germany. Like, there's so many good teams right now. Argentina, the reigning World Cup champions. It's going to be so hard for the United States to get into one of those final 4 spots. And right now, it's hard for me to envision that. Like, it gives me vibes of what the tournament looked like, the friendlies looked like prior to the 2024 Copa America when they got absolutely blitzed by Colombia. And yes, they had a 1-1 draw with Brazil following that, but these kind of performance leading up to a big tournament. I know they got 2 other friendlies coming up at the end of May and the early portion of June, but these are the games where you're trying to figure out the squad, And if you're trying to figure out the squad, I want to see them play a little bit better than what we saw in that second half against Belgium. And again, for the United States as a whole, Weston McKennie, we kind of alluded to this at the in the last video. Weston McKennie is the United States' best player. And it's not even just an on-form thing. Christian Pulisic, I don't know what's going on right now, but I don't know if it's an ego thing or something, but the hero ball that he's performing right now is not doing the United States any favors. We already talked about his beef that he has with Rafael Leao, and then he comes out with an excuse right after the game, like the uniforms. It was hard to tell the difference between the two teams, and I'll hold off a little bit on that because watching it live, the uniform clash was insane, and the fact that neither team was prepared to have an alternate jersey or a darker jersey at that point in time is just really stupid. I don't know how that even happens. Like we never even had those problems when I was playing youth soccer. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is professional international soccer we're talking about here, and we got a uniform mix-up where we got two light-colored teams, but the United States did not lose this game 5-2 because their uniforms were slightly similar to that of Belgium's. It was a shit show of performance, especially again in that second half. I thought the first half they played all right. I thought they played well. They opened the scoring first. Weston McKennie also had a chance to score early on in the game. He just pelted it right at Sene Lammens in goal. But I thought Weston McKennie does a really good job at getting open from those corners. And what was really nice to see, speaking of Pulisic, is that he wasn't taking corners. It was Malik Tillman and Anthony Robinson. So I'm appreciative of that. And I thought Malik Tillman, I thought he played all right. He had the most chances created for the United States in this game with 3. Anthony Robinson, again, I thought played well. Johnny Cardoso, he only played a half. I thought he did all right in the half that he played, but it sounds like it's more of a minutes restriction because of Atletico Madrid's run in the Champions League more than anything else. It wasn't like a tactical thing where like, oh, we got ththese two are competing for a job. Maybe they are. I mean, we've talked about that before about Roldan and Cardoso competing directly for a spot in the United States roster. Maybe they are competing for one. But it seems more like hey, we need to pull him out because he got Champions League stuff, and there's something about a muscle injury that he has or precautionary stuff. But with Cardoso now not playing, Chris Richards not playing, Miles Robinson not playing, it's going to be intriguing to see what the United States lineup looks like in this game. But this game overall, just as a final recap for Belgium, Pulisic, the hero ball thing needs to stop. Weston McKennie, again, is the best player the United States has at their disposal this current time. Tim Ream cannot play in a back four. He's a really good ball-playing defender, but he is so suspect and unathletic at this point in time. I mean, he's 40 years old. It's not like I'm bashing him when he's 31 or something. He's 40 years old. He doesn't have the legs to play in a back four. Matt Turner, I think we need to Zach step in him and kind of just phase him out. Do I think he was the biggest problem in the United States in this game? No. But Matt Turner, it's done. It's over. Like, remember prior to the 2022 World Cup, and everybody was like, oh, it's going to be Zach Steppen's spot as number 2, and he didn't even make the squad. That's what I'm kind of hoping at this point in time for Matt Turner. The United States goalkeeping situation as a whole is very shaky. Like, we even talked about during the Gold Cup, like, Matt Freese took the job, but Matt Freese also didn't really do anything to fill me with the utmost confidence. He wasn't asked to do a whole lot, but he was just the best that the United States has. I would say right now, if I'm being 100% honest here, this is kind of a random tangent, the goalie I want to start for the United States right now is Chris Brady. I think he's the most informed goalie the United States has at their disposal at this point in time, and I think he's the best distributor as well. So I would like to see Chris Brady, but the problem is he's got 0 caps to his name. He's 22 years old. Unless they want to pull an Andres Noppert like the Netherlands did in 2022, where he had no caps prior to, then started all 5 games for the Netherlands in the World Cup. I highly doubt they're going to do that, but crazier things have happened, I guess. But Chris Brady would be the guy I want to see because I just don't have any confidence with Turner or even Matt Freese at this point. And the penalty shootout stuff was awesome back in the Gold Cup, but apart from that, I don't have the utmost confidence in him. I don't think he's playing great for NYCFC at this point in time. So that part's kind of scary as well. Max Arsene, we already talked about, he can't defend. That's been a long-standing thing on this show, is that he can't defend. He's an optional defender, suspect defender. That's not what he's going to do. He's a good attacking option, but in a back four, he can't do that. That's not what he's going to do. They need more depth at center back. Mark McKenzie, again, scares me a little bit. He's been suspect or shaky with most of his United States men's national team appearances, I would say. So you need Chris Richards to get back. You need Noah Kai Banks to choose the United States over Germany, which Lord knows what's going on there. We're going to have to wait and see. And you also got Brian Oko as well, who plays for Auxerre in the French league. He started the last 6 games. He's a Swiss United States dual national. I say dual national. He's born in Houston, but he's represented the Swiss national team from U15 all the way to U20, 21, sorry. And he scored 2 goals in Auxerre's last game. So he's another guy you could kind of look at there, left-footed center back, 6'3", 22 years old. Like, that's the kind of guy you want to look at for the United States long-term. But Noah Kai Banks, you would love to see him be put in this squad because it's a scary time at this point in time at center back. As for the midfield, I thought Cardoso played fine. Tessman, I don't really have a lot to say about. He dropped deep into center back he's dropped in between the two center backs from time to time in this game against Belgium. Roldan and Berhalter cannot play midfield together. They can't, especially if you're trying to see out a game against the better teams. They cannot play in a midfield duo together. Tillman, again, I thought played fine. McKinney, goal scorer. Pulisic needs to stop with the hero ball. I know he won't, but he needs to stop with that. Balogun didn't really do a whole lot. Pepe and Aubameyang, I thought they came on and provided a little bit. Pepe's press on Yuri Tielemans was very impressive. For a player like Tielemans, you wouldn't expect him to give the ball away like that, but Pepe's relentless press and the touch to Aubameyang, who took it first time. Aubameyang, that was a great goal from Patrick Aubameyang. I know it was an easy goal, but to take it first time like that, I think shows the continued development of him since he's moved over to Derby County, because I don't think he was scoring a goal like that for the United States during the Gold Cup. I think he's taken a touch or two or three and then clunkily blasting it into the net. So I like the first time finish that he had there, and I think that competition between Pepe and Aubameyang, I do think is an interesting one, because I do think that Haji right now is the number 2 striker behind Fuller and Balogun at this point in time for Mauricio Pochettino, just given the comments that he's made. And we all know how much Mauricio Pochettino loves himself and Patrick Aubameyang, for better or worse. We're going to have to wait and see on that, but overall, this game just sucked. It sucked. It gave, again, similar vibes to that of the Colombia game prior to the 2024 Copa America. I hope it bodes well into this game against Portugal, where the United States can look at it and go like, oh, we have to drastically improve. I don't know what kind of lineup changes they're going to make. We'll get to that in a little bit. But as for Portugal, this is a squad without Cristiano Ronaldo. Rafael Leao is not in the squad. Diogo Costa is not in the squad. Ruben Diaz is not in the squad. Bernardo Silva is not in the squad. But it's still a very, very strong Portuguese squad. And the wingers, the wingers aren't great for Portugal. You're looking at Pedro Neto. You're looking at João Felix, Gonzalo Guedes, who's wearing the number 7, which is so weird to look at. Like, when people wear number 10 for Argentina, other than Lionel Messi, and then you see people wear number 7 for Portugal, other than Ronaldo. It's so weird to look at. And Ronaldo, I think, has a hamstring injury, which is why he's not in the squad. But if you look at the rest of the Portuguese squad, they're just so loaded with talent. They got arguably one of the best midfield, probably the best midfield in the upcoming World Cup, with Bruno Fernandes at the 10, and then you got Vitinha and João Neves in midfield as well. I know Roberto Martinez does like to throw João Neves at right back. From time to time, you see Samu Costa or Ruben Neves play next to Vitinha in there. But with how Mateus Nunes has been playing for Manchester City, a converted midfielder who's been playing right back, I think that's kind of his spot. Even though you have João Cancelo and Diogo Dalot in the squad as well, it's just a very loaded squad. It's a loaded squad. Nuno Mendes is one of the best, if not the best, left back in the world. Gonzalo Ramos, striker. Reminder, he scored a hat trick in the World Cup knockout stage for Portugal. But Vitinha, Neves, João Neves, and Bruno Fernandes is just an insane midfield trio, and so creative and so deadly. And you see how Neves and Vitinha flip back and forth. You see it at PSG all the time, how they just rotate back and forth. Like, Vitinha has 7 assists to his name, and he only came on for a half. Like, Portugal made 9 substitutions in this game. The only 2 players that didn't sub out were the goalkeeper and Renato Vega. Those are the only 2 guys who didn't play. And in that second half, Vitinha proved his quality and was the best player on the pitch for Portugal. Like, he completed 67 of 70 passes in this game and had 74 touches overall. Both were only second to Renato Vega, who, again, played the entire 90 minutes. He's just a creative force in midfield, and that relations that he has with João Neves is just very, very nice. I think Neves has about 4 or 5 goals for PSG this season as well. Nuno Mendes has been in and out of the squad. He's played 12 games, and he started 12 or 13 games in 18 matches for PSG in the league this season. Again, when he's on it, is the best attacking fullback in the world next to, we'll say left back, because his partner, Hakimi, on the other side, probably has a stake in that as well. But this is just a really good team. And this game against Mexico, not a lot really happened. There were 3 big chances created this game. Samu had a chance that was easily parried by the goalkeeper for Mexico, and that came earlier in the game. And then Pedro Neto, he had the second shot on target in the game. That came in like the 88th minute or something like that. It was a low-driven shot that was easily saved with the feet. And again, not a whole lot happened. Mexico could have had a couple chances in there. Belgium, I did forget about this, did technically score another goal, but it was ruled a handball by Decatelaire. But that's neither here nor there at this point in time. We're done talking about that game. We're talking about Portugal. Yeah, just not a lot happened. There was one shot that Gonzalo Ramos had where Bruno Fernandes, I think, was trying to take a shot, and he kind of just mishit it, and it landed right in the path of Gonzalo Ramos, and he just put it wide. Like, there were moments in this game where you can look at it and go like, oh, they should have scored there. Armando Gonzalez from Mexico, he had a header that should have gone in. It was a perfect ball from Quinones and just placed it right on a plate for him, and I don't know if he was afraid of hitting the post or something like that, because he just completely pulled off of it and just put it wide. And it should have been an easy header, put it back in the net, score for Mexico, take the 1-0 win, and move forward. But again, there wasn't a lot to watch in this game, I guess you could say. I think for Mexico, you can hold your head up a little high here, because Mexico, the state of the Mexican national team at this point in time, is not the highest it's ever been. In Portugal, again, has some key players out here, and I'm intrigued to see how they look with the likes of Bernardo Silva, Ronaldo, and Rafael Leao, and all these guys back in the squad. I'm intrigued to see how they would look going forward with that. But in this squad, I don't know how much of a change they're going to do. I don't know if we're going to see a midfield duo of Vitinha and João Neves, because in this game against Mexico is Ruben Neves and Samu in the midfield there. So it's going to be intriguing to see how Portugal attacks the United States in this game and how the United States lines up as a whole, because they have to go back to a back five. Like, if I'm doing the starting lineup prediction for the United States, it has to be a 3-4-3 or a 5-2-3 or something, whatever you want to call it. Just they need to go back to the back five. I know you don't have like the traditional depth at center back with Richardson Robinson being out, but we've seen Joe Scally and Alex Freeman play at right center back. We've seen Tanner Tessman play center back at club level for Lyon. So you have other players that can play in those spots. So that kind of also surprised me why they didn't go with the back five when they have players that can play in those spots. So in this one, again, going with the back three or back five, however you want to look at it, in net. I've already talked about I want Chris Brady in there. Do I feel like Mauricio Pochettino is going to do that? Probably not. We're probably going to see Matt Freese back in the starting lineup for the United States, who, again, is the incumbent, one would assume incumbent, number one goalkeeper for the United States going into this World Cup. And again, I'll just reiterate, I am not confident with the United States goalkeeper position at this point in time. Given the history that the United States has had at the position, to sit here and go like, I don't feel confident with any of the options that they have. And you can throw in like Schulte, Centenato, Diego Cochen for Barcelona, who's just really young at this point in time. It's just not a very steady position at this point in time. So I'm intrigued to see how they battle it out going forward. But Chris Brady, I would love to see get a chance at a run-in at the number one spot. I know it won't happen, but I want to see it. But Matt Freese will probably start this game at right wing back. I'm going to go with Alex Freeman, just switching it up a little bit. Nothing again against Tim Weah there. I just want to see Alex Freeman play in that spot. I do think Alex Freeman, I don't want to say it's locked up for the World Cup, but I do think Alex Freeman's athleticism bodes well for the United States long-term, especially at that right center back spot, which I'm going to have Joe Scally in that spot. We saw the pair of them come in the second half against Belgium. Just get him a little more playing time in there. Center back, it would be Chris Richards in a perfect world, but I just don't think he's going to play. So I'm going to have Mark McKenzie still starting there. And at left center back, I'm going to have Austin Trusty. Again, playing well for Celtic this year, left-footed center back. Give Tim Ream a break. He's old. He's 40 years old. He doesn't have the legs to play in a back four. So in the back five, let's just see what Austin Trusty can do. Mauricio Pochettino has brought him into the squads, so I want to see him play. And I think that back four, or back three, it's changed up a little bit. And maybe you see a Tim Weah still killed a spot at right wing back, and you have Freeman play at right center back, or you see Tessman back there or whatever. But that would be my back three at this point. And then left wing back, I'm going to keep Anthony Robinson there. I wouldn't be shocked if he put Max Arston there, but Anthony Robinson is just one of the best five players the United States has. So, and he doesn't have a lot of I'll put it on screen somewhere. His game against Belgium was the first time he played in the United States for the United States in forever. And we talked about the injuries that he's had and like the precautionary withdrawing from the squad and stuff like that. We need to get him more minutes with the national team, so I'm going to keep him in there. The midfield, Tanner Tessman, I feel like is going to keep his spot. He's a Pochettino guy. Like, remember we always talked about Greg's guys back in the day? I would say Tanner Tessman is a great, it's a Poch's guy, or Maurizio's guy, or Maurizio's man, I guess you could call it. But I think Tanner Tessman will start at one. Christian Roldan, Sebastian Berhalter, maybe they start in one of those spots, but I want to see Aiden Morris there. He didn't play at all in the last game against Belgium, and I just want to see him in there, just selfishly. I would imagine that he's probably going to go with Christian Roldan in that spot, but I want to see Aiden Morris there. And then you go to the front three and go with Weston McKennie at one spot. We're going to go Christian Pulisic at the other spot. He'll probably be the captain this game. And striker, it's going to be, I would imagine it's going to be one of Aubameyang or Pepe. I'm going to go with Pepe for the start. I feel like he's going to bring Aubameyang on as a sub. So we're going to go with that starting lineup at this point in time. But again, there's a couple spots you could flip around here. Pepe and Aubameyang is going to be an interesting one. Maybe he keeps Balogun in, but in these types of friendlies, he hasn't really stuck. He's kind of rotated the squad around in regards to the striker position. So I'm intrigued to see how he handles this game and how the United States just handles Portugal in general. I don't feel comfortable with the midfield matchup in this game, so it could potentially get ugly for the United States. But we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't want to be Mr. Pessimistic going into this, but again, it's a friendly game, so it doesn't matter for anything logistically. Like, it doesn't go up against anything, but it definitely is a confidence booster or confidence drainer if the United States does not perform well in this game, because you cannot go into this international tournament and with these two friendlies against two top nations in Belgium and Portugal and suck ass. You cannot afford to do that. You can't do that. So I'm hoping there's a more heart, more passion, more drive, whatever, and then not as lazy defensively, not as suspect defensively. I just want to see a good performance. That's all I want to see. But yeah. And maybe we see it like a Giovanni Reina or Brendan Aronson start this game. Giovanni Reina, I don't think, covered himself in glory in that game against Belgium either. But that's whatever. We've already talked about the Belgium game. I'm done talking about the Belgium. We're putting that behind us. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. I'll try to be better next time. Much like the United States, I hope they're going to be better next time. Leave a comment down below on how you feel about the United States squad, about the chances at the World Cup. You think they're going to make the semifinals? What your chances are against Portugal? What your thoughts were against Belgium? What the squad could look like for the World Cup? Players, whatever. Pochettino, leave me a comment down below on why you feel the way you do. Make sure again to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Check out all the links down in the description below. And of course, I've been Logan Blackman. I hope you enjoyed. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time, and I will see you guys later. Peace.